Welcome back, fellow armchair generals, to Strategic Command World War II, World at War. Of course, that title, if you will, is somewhat taken from the old series World at War. But yeah, of course, this is the global version of the game. So we are at episode 3. This is Gamer1745, if I didn't say that. Okay. I have been playing a bit, learning the game some more, a few really good helpful hints that have been recommended to me, and one of them is that I need to come down here and set these to convoy rating modes, and I didn't do that before, so they've not been effective at all. So we want to do that. Convoy rating modes. Now, I believe we're going to be seeing some British showing up here soon, so we will head out. I think we'll leave them out at sea. Okay, let's jump over to Japan. One thing we need to do has been recommended here, and I'm going to up their strength for the carriers, and we need to use the carriers more so. Let's see here, we can elite reinforce. No, we don't need to elite reinforce. Come down here. Now this is so far, for me, has been one of the most we're going to set mode here. This is combat air patrol, the cap, naval tactical. I think this is a mix formation. I think this is just for bombing and attack, so we're going to go over to that. I'm not worried about being attacked. Yeah. Not worried about that. Okay, this has been the most frustrating because I can't move this guy anywhere. Now, I get that movement cost +2 is just beyond his movement capacity. Now if I move him there, we'll lose control of the city, which would be bad. So what we're going to do here is put you on board ship. Yes. And so they can come to here. These guys can come down to here. Changing my plans a little bit. Okay, they'll be guarding that, keep partisan activity from happening, which will happen if we move off from there. Okay, so these guys can move up to there. They'll occupy there. These guys can move down to here. Yes, there is operate movement. Could do that. Operate movement if I want to spend the MPPs. Let's hit no for this. Yeah, okay, they can make that there. Okay, let's hit yes and move him all the way up to here. Okay, so he's up to there. So we're going to get the other guy coming down. They'll come and occupy there. Hold that position down. Okay, they're holding that. Most of these we're going to do with. Do we have rail links down to here? It looks like. Okay, well. Okay, no, the bad weather can't do airborne attacks right now. That's another thing that I should probably be doing more of. Okay. This one looks like the best result. We need to grind on these a bit. Yeah, I just thought I'd lose more than that, but that now down here. Okay. Okay. And I'm going to hit Shift and swap these two out so that we can now hit there. Okay, so we're pounding on that, which is good. So, yeah, I think that's at least most of our moves for this turn for Japan. Now let's come over to Italy. Okay, I want to upgrade these guys to advanced fighters. I think to stand up to Britain, and yeah, we're going to pay that big cost here getting those. Stand up to Britain, it would be better to have them. Such. Now, one of the limitations I don't like with this game is, shall we say, the enforced scripting of this. You know, I've talked earlier about how I like that some of this stuff is scripted, but some of the particular enforced scripting is like, Italy joins the war. Okay, well, how do I put this? Hitler did not have control over Mussolini. That is absolutely true. But then again, in this game, Italy isn't run by the AI. So I would definitely have a better choice in that. Go, do you want to go to war with the Allies, that kind of thing. Okay, we need to get the headquarters down here, but we're going to move these guys here and these guys here. I want to occupy this supply point with a reinforcement at least, because it's going to be sort of far out. And I want to use some of the points now. Let's go to looking over here. And yeah, I think that is for the best. Okay, now we want to leave Dusseldorf unoccupied because we will be getting a Panzer division in Dusseldorf, so we want to leave that. If you occupy it, it'll show up, but you have to stick it somewhere else, and it's better to just leave that unoccupied, knowing that that is coming. So these guys we will move up into here. I'm going to leave that province unoccupied. I'm going to move these Germans up to here. And we're going to, what would be the upgrade? Advanced tanks. We can see advanced tanks here is 25 MPP, and mobility is 100. So mobility is really good, but also really expensive. So We're just going to go with advanced tanks here, I think. Or is it 70? Yeah, because it's 75 because, yeah, because we also had advanced tanks clicked. Now, we're just going to upgrade that to advanced tanks. And we're going to upgrade this to advanced tanks. So we're hitting them with, I presume, something other than, at least mostly, Panzer 1s and Panzer 2s or something. I guess that's sort of what that is meaning. I'm taking that for. I want to up the fighter power here. Okay, we're going to move you guys up to there and you into here. I think these guys can be just as effective slightly further back. So let's come up here with these now. Yeah, I think that's good. I think, and I don't know, but I think we're going to be able to take France without these two divisions. So we're going to come down here. Think to sort of move down to be ready for a move a bit more into Yugoslavia or something. I haven't played that far yet, but I just sort of think that we can do that. All right, now let's click here. Okay, so we still have a fair number of points. Now, let's go research. One thing I think will help with some of those divisions, though it would be sort of expensive for Japan, is to be able to research mobility. So I'm going to spend 175 points to start researching mobility for Japan. Now, Germany, do we want to... Now, okay, each production technology research decrease cost by 5%. Well, if we do this early, that's a lot of stuff spread around cost. I think we'll do that. I think we'll do some of the structural stuff there. Let's look over at Japan again. We are getting long-range aircraft, which Japan definitely had. Naval weaponry is already being worked on. Infantry warfare, aerial warfare, naval warfare, and logistics. Let's also do industry here for Japan. Okay. Now, Germany. Let's look at production here for Germany. If we were to grab up that 20. Yeah, I think I want that. We can look at our current production. I'm still trying to learn how to best use things like heavy artillery and engineers and other elements to the game, but I think that would be good. Okay, 105 left. Not really much. I think we will save that. Okay. Well. Oh. this, I think, is a mistake. So I'm going, oh, I don't have the, I was going to put them on and get them over to here. Again, I can't, I thought they would be able to move through the rough terrain better, but they just can't. Just only being able to hit this with 2 divisions, or 2 from 2 hexes, have been a bit of a problem. Yeah, well, you know, okay, that actually worked out pretty good. And now let's again hit shift and shift the positions. Okay, well, we push them out. Maybe we will eventually be able to. Oh, we should have hit them first with air. Yeah, I'm still learning. But we want to try to cut off and get to there, I think. Maybe if we get up to there, then we could shift these guys to here and do a little bit better. Okay, yeah, let's end the turn here. Coal strike in New South Wales paralyzes the Australian economy. Hit by rough seas, okay. Not sure what that affects when it's not doing anything. I don't think anything bad. I think it would mean that you don't get to do commerce raiding if we were sitting on a supply line. I have seen that before with... Okay, UK begins construction of the port of Singapore, expanding. Malaya prepares for war. Okay, interceptors are working. Hits the bombers, good. Okay. Not a follow-up attack, that was just helpful to us. Okay, Anglo-French expedition fails to arrive in time. Finns sue for peace. Axis raiders disrupt South African UK convoys. Very good. And it's winter up north. Isn't it always? No, I know it gets hot in the summer. A lot of daylight up there. Okay, they lost 12 MP from South Africa. Okay, iron ore imports from Norway could be threatened by British. Would you like to authorize invasion of Norway? Yes. Cost me 200 MPPs. Okay, and we get these units that we've been building. And Dusseldorf, which is the only place it's available if it's open. Otherwise, it's not a good thing. Okay, this is snowier than when I last played it up here, so we're definitely not starting out early now into any moves there. Okay. We're going to move those guys to North Africa, and we're going to move these guys up to the border. I'm going to, before moving them, I'm going to reinforce these guys to their max. I still haven't got all the nuances. Some of it, I think, is command levels. So I want to upgrade these to higher command levels, which I think will allow me to upgrade these to higher command levels in time out here, but I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, I might as well. This will be cheap. See, yeah, like 5 MPPs. Get that up to level 5. Might as well. Don't think we can win out here. I don't, as in hold out. I've often thought, because the war is over fairly early in 36. Well, even if Italy isn't in 36 planning a world war with its former allies, Britain and France and everybody else, even if it isn't planning that, I think it could have done a bit more Keynesian economics. Keynesian economics, how do I put this? Short run, it can work out okay. Short run. And where I know there's a whole, obviously there's a whole thoughts of Keynesian economics that, ooh, it's great, it's super, it's wonderful. But where it sort of kind of does work is if it produces something that will substantially improve other economic activities. Okay. Well, let's use something of a modern example. I think this is supposed to be Skye. One of these two is supposed to be the island of Skye. Maybe it's this one, I think, maybe a bit more. Well, there used to be a ferry going between the mainland and the Isle of Skye. There's hardly anybody living out on the Isle of Skye. Eventually, they built a big modern bridge out to the island of Skye. I don't know that that substantially helped much economic development. I'm sure getting truck deliveries of things, food, just anything, because there's almost nothing produced out here, any stuff of the modern world, is cheaper now. So it's, I can almost assure anybody that it's improved the life of the people out there. But the big expensive bridge, and not that United Kingdom, notice I said United Kingdom, I didn't mean England, I didn't mean the island of Britain, I meant the United Kingdom, which includes Northern Ireland, Gibraltar, and whatever else. United Kingdom can afford this bridge, so it isn't a big hardship on the peoples of the United Kingdom. Okay, and so they can afford it. So this isn't a big, massive, bill that everyone has to pay. But creating that bridge out there, I don't think substantially either got a lot of people more jobs out there, or got a lot more industry going on in Britain. And in fact, it may have actually, in my opinion, I don't know, and because I'm just saying opinion, I don't have the stats. Somebody could look at the stats. It may have actually hurt the economy of the Isle of Skye, having the bridge out there, because there's an old poem, saying in poem, "Over the sea to Skye," and so it was sort of a tourist attraction. Is that you have been over the sea to Skye? You've taken the ferry, your tour bus, for most of the tourists, has gotten onto the ferry and has gone across on a ferry from the mainland to an island. And so you've gone on this journey over the sea, on the water, to the Isle of Skye, and you've gone on the tour, and then you left. Now you just simply go over a bridge. Where's the romance? Where's the, all that kind of stuff for it? Tourism isn't about, for most people, I will say this, for most people, tourism isn't about ease of travel. It's about going or seeing the most modern things. It's about going and, if you will, seeing the romance of the place. Now, I say that for most people because I remember when I was really young, just out of high school, I did take a tour around Europe, and it was a UK-based tour company, whatever. I was one of the very few Americans. Actually, there were more South Americans on the tour than there were Americans, and well, there were also Canadians, and there were a few Americans, but there were more others, and a lot more English and other people on the tour. Well, I say other people because one of the couples I got to know a little bit, they were older than me, but they were very friendly. They were from Egypt. Egyptian, not British from Egypt or anything. They were Egyptian. And they really liked to see all the modern airports and modern stuff, industry and, development. So they really liked this. And that's because they're from Egypt. And there's modern things in Egypt. But back in the late 1980s, there wasn't as much as there is today. The Alexandrian Library hadn't been rebuilt back then, which is a very, very modern structure, if you don't know. So some people do want to go see, the big city, the modern thing. So maybe people that grew up on the Isle of Skye in a little village or hamlet or something like that really does want to go see the big modern world out there because of where they are. But okay, so it's not necessarily a bad thing that they built the bridge to Skye, but I don't know that is overly economically empowering, because and again, I'm not a Keynesian expert and I may be butchering some of this, but part of the idea of Keynesian economics is that you spend the money making the bridge, and doing so, well, they had to buy materials from somewhere, concrete and steel and whatever else, and that employs people, and the workers that you pay are being employed, and they then go spend their money in, say, a local diner, and that employs people, and so, on and so forth, that just simply the government making economic decisions like that and spending money will prime the pumps of the economy and spur the economy on. Okay. And that is sort of the way a lot of the stuff and people react in the modern world, including in America, is that the government should build a bridge to get across there. Now, in the olden days, let's go 1880, government didn't do that. In Britain or other places, they just didn't do that. Somebody was going, my God, if we had a bridge from here to there, I could charge 5 cents or 10 cents or a penny or whatever it is per person or car or something going across that bridge, and I'll make $1 million if I build that bridge. And so instead of going out and doing eminent domain and taking the land away from the owners without hardly compensating them, they had to go out and buy the land, they had to go out and pay for everything else. So they go out and build the bridge and hope, they have some research, but hope that it makes them money back. It was an individual's or a company's or somebody's choice to build a bridge. Okay. But let's stay in Scotland. You have the Forth River Bridge. This is the Forth River. And it is a rather big bridge, and it goes across here. And it's actually sort of maybe a bit more down here or something, the modern one. So instead of having to go from Edinburgh all the way up here to where the thing is and then all the way back over here, it's a bit much sort of straight on. I've been on it just a couple, 3 times. So I can't really tell you much because at least, a couple, 3 times. One time I did drive a guy I knew from here somewhere up to here and then back that night. It was helping out. An hour and a half drive each way, but I did it at night, so I didn't really see it very well, of course. So yeah, I've been on that a bit, but that is the traffic flow massively helps out north-south, because there is sort of a highland path with railways in the modern sense coming up into Scotland, but because the sort of the way the mountains are, there's either this or there's this way. There's basically sort of two ways between North and South Scotland, and this is sort of a very windy, twisty river over a flat area that's sort of controlled by a few prominent places. But so either you've got to really sort of go inland, and then you got to go way back out, and it's not really good to do so, or you've got to build a bridge that's tall that ships can get under, and it's sort of a big sort of, and it's not a Golden Gate quite, but it's a big bridge, to get down here without interfering with everything else, to get down. And this is made well after World War II, so this isn't shown here. And so this really speeds up economic communication, drive time, fuel cost, all kinds of stuff for North and South of Scotland to interact. Okay, it radically improves that kind of thing. Okay, so see that kind of Keynesian economics, in that the government comes in, builds some sort of structure that will dramatically increase trade. See, not a lot of people really want to live out here, and there's not a lot of like coal mines. They've shut down all the coal mines in Britain. There's huge amounts of coal in Britain, but they've shut it down to import foreign coal, which of course is bad because it's one, it's killed a lot of coal jobs. Coal jobs were going to be killed anyways because of modern machinery, but they could have done modern machinery coal, but no, they killed it, so even those jobs are gone. And it's also bad because now you have to import coal, so you're a little bit more dependent. But it is good in that when all the foreign coal or whatever is cut off, they'll go, oh, we've got all these coal mines that we could reopen and restart and start digging coal out in Britain again. So it's keeping their reserves. But yeah, there isn't a lot of coal or iron or whatever to mine out here. There isn't a lot of economic activity. The fisheries, well, that's all being turned over to the Europeans anyways, and with the current Brexit, the Europeans will get to have the fisheries and not the Britons. So, there really isn't, other than tourism, much industry out here, and they can pack up the wool that they make and send it off somewhere else to be turned into cloth and whatever. So there isn't a lot of economic growth to be had. It just isn't going to happen. But, I don't know, if you somehow, dig a tunnel, across here, and if that's going to allow a lot more train traffic, through the Straits of Dover, that can really help economic activity. Boom! And so, and people who watch me regularly know I do these kind of talks in the middle of games. So that can really boom. So not everything that Keynesian stuff does. I know, because I'm not a hardcore anything, of any philosophy. I'm generally, free market kind of a guy, and free market is the best, and it is, but sometimes, because of various things, including heavy amounts of government regulations that make the idea of building, someone just deciding to build a tunnel from, between two countries, or even if it's within, Britain itself, to two British territories, someone just deciding to dig the tunnel. Oh God, think of all of the safety and whatever, and you're going to go on and on and on for all kinds of, safety regulations, and probably the government, if you're going to be building it, they're probably going to be harder on a private company than they would be on the government doing it. Meaning, you've got to make the walls 6 inches thick of concrete that in the tunnel, not just 4 inches. Well, or something. The government could get away with 4 inches or whatever. It would probably be harder on an individual company than they would be on a government scheme, to use the British term. So, okay, back to Mussolini. Okay, at this time he is worrying, well, before this, in 36, but 35, end of 35 is when this whole Ethiopia thing starts. It ends in fairly early 36. But when he's doing all that, he is worrying about, oh, this is a great, for the newspaper headlines, we're conquering places, blah, 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 blah. But what he's really worrying about is the Italian fourth shore. The fourth shore, if you didn't hear that correctly. Okay, I don't know which one's the first, but the first, the second, the third shore down here and sort of in the south. The fourth shore is here, northern Africa here. Well, this is Libya and this is Cyrenaica. And yeah, he's doing the Via Balboa, which is the highway that they're building. But they're also trying to attract Italian colonists into sort of pre-built, sort of small cities that they hope will grow. They don't because, there's a war, and then they lose the territory. But they probably would have grown. So this is sort of the Italian fourth shore, that they're trying to integrate this into Italy. Into the Italian economy. And like I said, I think they were sort of kind of doing a good job. Fascism, economics, is it Keynesian? Maybe. Is definitely leftist economics. I know some people don't want to make the fascists out to be all right-wingers. Well, yeah, colloquially I will use the term right-wingers for fascism at times, but fascism's ideology is based in the left. But it does have rightist elements, most assuredly. So, yeah, this is making the episode a bit long, sorry. Okay, but he's sort of worrying about that. But he should have also, and they were, but not, they didn't see, how do I put this? Because they didn't know that the war was coming, especially in 36, 37, 38, they didn't know the war was coming. And anytime soon. There wasn't a sense of urgency. But if they had done a better job in pushing a railroad from Mogadishu to Addis Ababa to Massawa here, because notice there's the sort of the railroad from Djibouti to there. But had they pushed a railroad through, that would have done several things. One, if you decide not to do the Belgian Congo method of conscripted labor for the local populace, which is in essence slave labor. Now, conscripted you can still pay. It can be something less than slavery because conscription is what you do for militaries as well. So, it's sort of a nebulous term, but it could be considered slavery, and especially if foreigners who recently conquered you are conscripting you, it will definitely feel like slavery and not national service, because enforced national service, you have a national service program that's non-military, is conscripted labor. So is that slavery? Are you a hardcore libertarian? Yeah, it probably is. If it's just, you've got to do 6 months of national service and a national service program, reforestation or whatever, plant forests or something, it may not feel like slavery, but if depends on the national consensus. But had they done it with handing out money to people and handing out food and other things to get workers locally, as well as bring in Italian workers, which gets jobs for Italians, and built your railway fairly early and fairly quickly, that would have allowed for more Italian economic development. Now, with all that happening, that could be significant developments down in Ethiopia. There were factions that hated Haile Selassie, the Ethiopian emperor, including a bunch of people out here. But there were other tribes, mostly non-Christian tribes, that actively really liked the Italians being in power, because Italians, like most conquerors, used the divide and rule kind of thing. So they armed just gave out guns and ammo to some, you know, Ethiopian tribes that really, you know, hey, yeah, you like us being here, yeah, here's guns and ammo. And, you know, they were just rifle, they weren't artillery pieces, they wouldn't have been able to use them effectively. But, you know, just have out small arms and junk like that. Probably a lot of outdated stuff from before World War I too, you know, not just the good new Carcanos, but which are really World War I Carcanos, but the earlier Vetterlies or whatever. But you know, so they had allies within this realm, and some of those allies continued on fighting the Allies after the Italians surrendered, because their warfare was as much local tribal warfare as it was anything else. So there was definitely friendlies in this area for the Italians. But so they could have come in, set up, and got their situation a lot better off. Now, there is no way that this could hold out indefinitely, because they're just, even if they tried to send in some ammunition factories or whatnot, you're just not going to really, in a practical sense, be able to produce enough ammunition and other things to support fairly large-scale armies indefinitely. But I would say Italy had no real plans for how to deal with a long-term situation of being cut off, other than, oh yeah, of course, we're going to be riding in on our white horses and conquering Egypt. But of course that didn't turn out. So yeah, they really should have planned that whole thing better and planned off. I really think, one, an infrastructure improvement, and the infrastructure improvement to a limited extent would have helped the British to retake it, but all it takes is a decent application of, you know, dynamite or other explosives to blow up a bunch of the key railway bridges and whatnot that basically turn it into almost a useless situation for many months until it's rebuilt, and in a situation that Britain in the middle of the war probably wouldn't have had the wherewithal to readily rebuild it. So, you know, it would have been a better choice. So we're sort of stuck down here with a fairly limited capabilities. Okay, you come to there. Okay, well, you come to there. That didn't work out so great. Okay, you guys come down here. You're coming to there. Don't have much of a border down here, do they? Don't think you can enter Germany at the moment. I'm sort of getting you ready to come into there once they're in the war. I want to put, I think, one of the artillery divisions here, maybe. Don't know if we'll have the mechanized division in time. But another thing we want to do is prepare this and prepare this division for airborne operations. So you need to hit that prepare button the turn before you want to make the attack. Okay, sorry, but because I talked too long talking about other things, and yes, I'm known for this, sorry if that upsets you. Because I do want everybody to have an enjoyable time here, but I do like to discuss history, economics, and other things, and how, not just how they were historically, there's many good YouTube channels and history books on that, but how things within the realm of possibility, shall we say, or even the realm of probability, because we're not saying, well, what if Hitler was really a nice guy and liked Jews? No, we're looking at, you know, the realities of what was going on, and then seeing how they could have handled things a bit differently. Okay, well, on that note, I want to thank you all just for watching this far into the video. Thank you. If you would hit that like button, I would prefer that. That helps both me and you. You tells YouTube what you'd like to see, helps me to get more visibility for these videos. And if you haven't already and you're here this long, you better subscribe, because you must like this well enough to come back for more. And I really love hearing from you on any of the topics discussed, or any good tips for this, because like I say, I'm still sort of learning this, and you either playing or watching some other YouTuber, because there's some good guys out there also playing this game. Love to hear your tips or other things, corrections. See you next time for more historical gaming.